Okay, we're actually just going to be on YouTube tonight because you don't have 10 minutes with Facebook. So, did you let people know you were going to be on Facebook and YouTube?
No, I wasn't supposed to do that.
No, that's okay. That's even better. So, let's just start live. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to go with
YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Detroit Business Hub Group Director Nancy O'Neill works with her team of experts. Listen to conversations with business professionals to discover the latest business innovations, insights, and trends. Find out what's hot and what's not in today's business market.
Hi, Jason. How are you? Thank you for coming on the show.
Good evening.
Glad you were able to join us this evening.
Yes.
So let's just go ahead and jump right in. I know that we met through your Michigan investment group several years ago. That's when you were meeting at the Renson.
Yes.
Is this the same organization that you're running? It was like a RIA organization. So are you still running the RIA organization today, or is this a different organization?
So I went from that one where we originally met at to now 10.
Wow. Okay, so you're saying that you're like in leadership in 10 different real estate related organizations?
Real estate construction and development, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, go ahead, give us a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll go ahead and get started with your questions.
Brief? How brief?
Your elevator pitch, 30 seconds, 1 minute.
Wow. Okay. So Jason Cole, lifelong Detroiter, born and raised on 7 Mile. And oh boy. And yeah, that's for real. And went to Randolph. So I've been in and around construction since 1985. And so, yeah, and if you're watching this today, it's 2021. So I'm old. And as Nancy asked earlier, I started with the Real Estate Investor Group in 2007, and then added several contractor associations, a women's group, the National Association of Black Women in Construction. Even though I'm a man, I helped formalize that chapter back in 2015. And it's okay. It's a lot of estrogen, but you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then
well, you'd be the only guy there. I mean, that's a good opportunity for you.
Is it? Is it?
I'm teasing.
Yeah. So I'm proud to say I never approached any of those ladies. So anyway, and so I started a Hispanic Contractors Association. Help those folks formalize. So yeah, I kind of touch it from the rooter to the tutor, A to Z, and always with a focus of solving problems. So the last association that I started is called RELA. That stands for the Real Estate Lenders Association, because people kept asking me for money and I don't have it. So I started a lenders group, and I believe it's helping people.
Great, great. So I know you know Kim Lee. She's going to be our upcoming speaker on April 23rd. Hopefully you'll be joining us for the event. Yeah. Tell us how you and Kim Lee connected, because she's one of the former presidents of National Association of Black Women Business and Construction. Am I saying it right? I'm not saying it right.
Correct. So I'll correct. So it's NABWIC. Yeah, NABWIC stands for the National Association of Black Women in Construction. Actually, Kim Lee is still the national president.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know when her term ends. I know it's been about 3 years now.
Okay.
We originally met because she was dating a guy who calls himself my brother. And yeah, that was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well,
I'm like, small world.
Was Detroit, and it's me. So if you're in real estate construction, I normally know the person.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't just start 10 associations because I needed some friends. I came from. People would do that. So I actually came from being a member of 20 associations before I started the 10 that I did. And again, it came out of solving problems.
Yeah.
I saw how the other communities are much more connected, and we lack that. So as I frame it, for me to build it, for it to get built, I had to build it. Meaning, I had to build the community before I could
Right.
get something built, and that's been a fun process. I would encourage everyone to do it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're in the people business, so anytime you work with people, it's like that's your biggest blessing and can be your biggest curse. So, I mean, we're in 10 organizations and all women's organizations. Like, God bless you.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And I let a lot of the personality stuff kind of fall by the wayside because I'm always focused on the North Star, which is get some shit done.
That's hilarious. But
Mm.
do you really need 10 organizations to be able to do that? 10 seems like a lot.
So, and it's not much work for me because once you've got the muscle of putting an agenda together, inviting speakers, having a place to do it in, it's not as much work. I now have about 15 websites going, so it's not that hard for me. I would imagine it's harder for other people. But they're all so. Here's the weird thing about us: we like to be siloed. We actually like that. Like, I just want to talk planning today to other planners. So
Right.
I started a planners group, and so that's kind of how we are. And then I bring us together every November. That's about the only time that I kind of cross pollinate folks, because the investors want to be over here and flipping houses and talking wholesale, and then the developers want to talk about visioning and architectural concepts and other fluffer nutter. And no disrespect to the architects, I'm actually speaking at their national conference, October.
Very good.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. So I don't know why, but they let me come talk about development. Yeah, I think they're getting desperate for speakers, but anyway. So
Hey, you got the knowledge base. You know everybody in the industry pretty much. And your mom is a construction guru, I hear, or in building or real estate. Which one is it? I
So-
never actually personally got to meet your mom.
oh, really? Okay, I've
Yeah.
met your. Yeah, I don't know
You
why.
have met my mom.
Yeah. So my mother actually has a degree in accounting from UAD, and then
Okay.
she started a project management support services firm. So we assisted architects, engineers, and contractors build airports and wastewater treatment plants. And that was fun. That actually took her from lower middle income to actually a high net worth individual.
Okay. So what is your mom doing? Is she retired now? What is she doing in the business today? I don't
Unfortunately,
know.
yeah, unfortunately, she's 80 now, and she was actually on the development call last night. Yeah.
Oh, she's still active. That's good. Yeah, my mom turned 81 last September.
Okay. So
So they're
yeah,
pretty close.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
she's
then,
retired.
my mom actually bought some dirt on 6 Mile in LaSalle. So she was raised at 5 Mile in LaSalle, or Finkel, if you're from here. And
Okay.
so she just bought like a acre and a half of land, and she's going to build some brownstones.
Wow. So
And
that's awesome that she's still really active in the industry. So I take it like she's not retiring. She's still got a lot of fire in her.
so she got retired by our former mayor, who is now out. But
Okay.
that was not part of her business plan. And
Mhm.
that was a rude awakening. But I will say that not enough people in the city give him
Mhm.
thanks and praise for freeing up my future, because I work for my mother. And so by him putting her out of business, it allowed me to then organize these 10 organizations and help a lot more people in Detroit.
So are you referring to Kwame Kilpatrick when you say the former mayor?
The one and
It
only.
There's definitely only one. This is something that's all Detroit or anyone else could actually handle. Uh, what role did your mother play in his administration exactly?
Zero. She was a person who did not contribute to the level that he thought was propensity. With how much money she made, and so
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I got you. Okay. Well, I mean, there is a new mayor in town, so hopefully that will is Is that helping at all?
We're not Irish enough.
Oh, okay. We'll just leave it at that.
The
Tell
truth,
them to give me a call. I mean, my last name is O'Neill. I mean, maybe I could get somewhere, make a phone call. I mean, all they have to do is look me up online. I don't really know how far this is going to go, but.
yeah, work the man. Yeah. Unfortunately, only 25% of me came from Ireland. So, yeah, I didn't qualify, but for whatever fault you want to hit him with, because it's a 76% African American town, and he moved in the day before the cutoff or whatever. One, the lights are on. Two, the buses are running. Three, the trash is being picked up. Four, the police are responding. But definitely, the business folks do not feel like they have a friend on the 11th floor. So,
Okay.
yeah.
It's like, what else can you ask from a mayor? I mean, trash is being picked up.
Yeah.
It's like, what are people paying their taxes for? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad your mom is still alive and kicking, regardless of what political games are being played in Detroit or other cities across the country. I mean, she's been doing this for a while, so I'm sure she's been through several administrations. So
yeah, I will say that it was kind of weird set of circumstances, because when she used to be an employee of the city, so before she started her business, she actually sued Coleman Alexander Young.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess he wasn't a friend either. Friends are hard to find these days.
Because that was an HR related thing, he was just on the paperwork. It wasn't directly focused in on him. The odd thing is, skip ahead 20 years, because I think that was 1972. By 1993, she had named a conference room in a building she owned after him, and didn't even tell the man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, she definitely respected him. Yeah.
Yeah, his legacy continues.
Yes, indeed. I know Joel, or Coleman the second, and yeah. I figure he's probably another 5, maybe 10 years out before he actually runs and can win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you two won't have to wait that long.
There's a lot of growing up to do, and so the city is 10,000 employees, $2-3 billion and money kind of running through it, and it just takes a lot to understand how to do that. And so yeah, I think that's in wisdom. Over time, you get there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds.
We tried the Young thing, right? So the young man took office on this. I think he was 31 at the time. So.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not the only one. You have, I don't know, like Dennis Archer Jr. or the second, right?
Yes.
But he's not interested in politics. Is that correct? Oh, not at all? Okay.
Yeah, he's a lawyer.
Maybe we're only down to one. Well, most lawyers are they're politicians after they're attorneys. So you never know.
No, I haven't been in. I've been in a room with Dennis Jr. or Denny for about 4 years. He's not gonna ever run. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't. Do you think that? Well, do you want to talk about Kwame? I don't know if you want to talk about him or not. Do you think that youth was really the issue? I think that was part of it, but like coming from a family of his mom being in her position for so long, don't you think that played a role?
So my take on things is, one, his age. Two, his birth sign. He's a Gemini. And so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even go that deep with it. I didn't really go by zodiac signs or anything. Okay.
Oh, it matters. And then 3, his father. If your father's nickname is Killer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that I didn't know. Probably not a very good track record after. I'm like, my goodness, I did not know that. Yeah, well.
And they live into their 90s.
Hey, love and marriage, right? It's
They're divorced. Yeah, his mom and dad are divorced, and now Kwame's divorced. So
Kwame is, yes, recently divorced. So
yeah, and
I
home.
mean,
Yeah, he's back home.
well, when you say home, is that Texas or is that he's Detroit?
Here, yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. I didn't know if he had moved back from Detroit. I mean, from Texas or not.
I believe he was in a prison in Louisiana or Oklahoma. He wasn't actually in Texas, so that's where he was living. Got pulled into prison, and then his mother is in Georgia, outside of Atlanta. But the minute he could, he got back up here. So
Wow, there's no place like home, like Dorothy says.
yeah,
I wonder what his tie really is to Detroit now, even though he's from here. I mean, I'm sure he has like some memories that he would probably rather forget about in terms of his political career. So I don't know. I wonder what his attraction to Detroit is at this point.
it's your base, right? Much like when people do harm. There's the fight or flight. There's this natural tendency to run, but
Mhm.
most times the police just camp out at your house because you're coming back home to mama.
Wow.
And so
Well,
that's
Mama's not here anymore.
yeah, but the rest of his infrastructure is right. Like his mother is the sole person down in Georgia, and everybody else is still here. So
I gotcha.
yeah,
What do you think his next moves are in terms of like, I mean, where do you go from here?
uh, you, you,
He might be get some tips to Donald Trump at this point.
I believe he will go get his money, and then he may come back here. Yeah.
Okay. You
Yeah.
mean like money where? Where's the money at exactly?
Outside of the reach of the U.S. government.
Oh, like offshore banking and things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, that's real.
What a mess. Man, it's like lifestyles of the rich and famous politicians. But sadly, what's like really sad about it is like he has a national reputation now. Like most mayors,
Yeah.
most people don't know who a mayor is on a local level. Kwame has made himself a national like icon because of all the stuff that happened while he was mayor. So it's really like unfortunate. How many mayors do you know like run for office, get elected, and end up in jail? I mean,
So I don't know if anybody's keeping accounts, but I will say that 5 of the last 7 governors of Illinois are in prison,
oh wow.
and
Yeah,
none look like us.
okay. Yeah, that's something that, they usually don't keep in the public eye very
No.
much.
The best one is like there's a guy named Jack Johnson. Him and his wife were flushing $100,000 checks down the toilet as the feds were coming.
Oh,
The
lovely.
the one I like the most is William Jefferson. He was down in Louisiana, and so the feds run up in his house, and he happened to have $90,000 in his freezer. And so when the feds come in, they open up the freezer like, "What's this?" He's like, "That ain't nothing but cold hard cash."
I was like, what does it look like?
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't think to put money in a freezer. That's actually a pretty good hiding spot. I
Is it
guess you just thaw it out and it dries up. You could use
just
the money. I mean, who knows? That probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but
they always know. They always know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with Kwame, when you say they always know, like I'm sure the federal investigation started, like I was not expecting this call to go this way at all or a conference, but it's okay. I mean, this is politics. Hey, this is part of real estate and financial services. There's a good side and there's a bad side to it. So when you say the feds always know and he got reelected,
Mhm.
like, do you think he should have ran again? Because in my opinion, I'm like, just you served it one term. It's like do the one term and run. I mean, a lot of people think that they're never going to get caught. Do you think he ever thought that they were like running a trail on him and eventually this was all going to come out in the open?
Based upon the fact you're putting money in walls, you know in one wall, yeah. And so yeah, you know you're doing something incorrectly, or you would have put it in the bank. Um,
Exactly.
that's number one. Number two, that's their business model as a family, which is to run for elected office. Right. So
Mhm.
if you think of the Coles, you think construction. Well, when you think
Right,
of the Kilpatrick, you think, oh, elected officials.
right, right.
Right. Yeah. So that's their family business. There's two options with me: construction or the funeral business. And based upon the fact that I can't get a discount with Carla, I'm in this construction business, right?
So I take it like you have no relation with Cole's Funeral Home at all.
No, ma'am. No, my relation is I bury my entire family there, and I don't get a discount. That's not funny. That's not funny.
Well, you keep going back to her.
Uh,
I think we went to Cole's as well, actually, with my sister. So yeah, she
yeah.
does an awesome job. She's very good at what she does.
And as a family, you just know, like, oh, we the Coles people, or we the Swanson people, we the O'Neill. You just can't trail. Like
Yeah,
you just pick this family, and that's who you bury generations of your family with.
yeah.
It's just what we do as a group of people. If you saw somebody put the mama with the Coles and then somebody else with the O'Neills, you'd be like, what's going on here? Like, this ain't right. Yeah, because there are very few families in the funeral business, and they know what they're doing. And if they don't, they end up on the Channel 7 News, and then they out the business.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Did you think his mom? Do you think she thought she wasn't going to get reelected when she ran the last time and she didn't win?
No, because other politicians have had scandals, and you don't think that's going to take you out. Yeah, you're like, well, that's my boy, and he's over there, and I'm over here. But yeah, sometimes it does happen.
Yeah.
I think there's a Sessions out of Texas. The dad was the former FBI director. He had done something stupid with the FBI jet, and Clinton fired him. And then his son became a elected senator from Texas. Yeah, I get a different pay job, but at the end of the day, that stint should have taken his son out. It didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised when Kilpatrick's mom actually didn't get reelected myself, because she's like an icon in Detroit. Like, you think,
and does her job. That's the other thing.
right. So
And don't do their job. She was doing her job.
exactly. And I think she brought a lot of dollars into Detroit as well. So I was actually kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
But hey, people probably think the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So it's like, hey, if your son doing something, maybe you doing something too. So
then you invite the investigation in, and you go, his daddy's name is Killer, and keep it moving. That's how you do that.
So you're just saying, just blame everything on the father?
No, what you would say is, if you think that I am circumspect because of my son, then please investigate me, but understand something. That's his daddy. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Yeah.
How long have they been divorced for?
Oh, at least 20 years, if not 25. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he was already pretty much, in terms of politics, he's already kind of out the picture anyway.
Well, no. I mean, he spoke to both of them, but one was in his ear a little bit more than the other.
I see.
Because you can tell, because one went to jail and the other one didn't. and everybody wanted to go, you can't put that man in jail. I was like, he went in at 71, came out at 74, and they live into their 90s. They got good lineage. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but here's the thing for anybody listening to this who's a business person. Stop saying that you ain't in politics. If you're a business person, you're in politics. I hear so many folks like, "Oh, I ain't giving no fundraising." Be like, okay, that's not how this country is built. But go ahead and be the way you is. So,
yeah.
And I can say personally, I didn't become a registered lobbyist until I believe 2012. Started a super PAC in 2014. But I wrote my first legislation that is still in use today in 1989 when I was 19.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about like politicians is that you want to be in cahoots with people who make the laws. I mean, it just kind of makes sense. The two.
We don't use that terminology.
Oh, okay. What's the proper term? What PC or urban term? Let me pull out my urban dictionary.
You would finesse the system, but you would be a power broker behind the machine.
Oh, power broker. Okay, thank you for fixing my terminology. Power broker.
Cool.
So sounds good. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. I took a look at your website, and you were talking about how
Which one?
you have. I think you're Michigan Minority. Give me the proper name so I don't mess it up. Michigan Minority Contractors Association.
Very good.
Yeah, got one right, 1 out of 2. Okay. So that organization, I looked at that website. You talked about your passion for the city. Is that one way that you show your passion is like through the construction, or what are some things that you do to try to revive? I mean, Detroit is on a comeback. It does look a lot better downtown than it did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect yet. There's still a long ways to go. But what are some things that you're doing, some projects you're working on to help bring the city back?
Oh, okay. So I'm not. So I'm attached to some things. I don't think of myself as personally doing something.
Okay.
But my passion is one, getting organized, two, getting shit done, and then three, getting the hell on. And so
Okay.
I made the mistake of living in Washington, D.C. from Valentine's Day 2004, 2005. And I got the buzz of the city. And so realizing what I need to do day one, getting registered with Congress as a lobbyist, understanding how to write legislation, going to subcommittees to get stuff done. Because
Okay.
at the end of the day, there's the business side of what I understand, right? Coming from the business community. So second generation small business person. Although I worked for my mother for 20 years, I never owned a share of stock.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's not okay because there's only 3 people in my family. So that don't make no sense. But anyway. And
So
so
you're saying your mom was on the market for sure? Like, couldn't you just buy? You
uh,
can't just
no. I could have bought
purchase it? Okay, well,
I could have bought some shares provided I made a decent living. Uh,
so this is like going back to your mom then.
well, the truth is the truth. And so, and what
But
I made.
Jason, why didn't you just buy the shares? Were you trying to inherit them, or what was going on?
No. I didn't even give it a thought. Or when it was
Mhm.
brought to me, I was like, well, I don't make enough money to even buy some shares because
Mhm.
I wasn't compensated based upon my output. That's number one. Number two, I'm now 52 years of age in October, and I just got my retirement package like 2 weeks ago.
Gotcha. So you're
No,
saying right now you're still on your mom's payroll?
no, ma'am. I have
Oh,
no. My mother's not paid me since December 31st, 2008.
oh,
Uh,
okay.
Yeah, I've been hustling ever since. No, I had to take a job with a Caucasian company about 4 months ago. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, things got really dire during COVID, and it, it's it, it's kind of stark to think that you work for your mother for 20 years, like not like 1 or 2, 20, like
Right.
and yeah, so I started at 88 and got let go in 2008, like really 20 years. And so I'm just getting my retirement together at this age. It's yeah, it's a little interesting.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because you had said before, I'm assuming that you and your mom have a wonderful relationship. I don't really know, so
Yeah.
I don't really want to pry into your personal life. But you had said at one point that your mom fired you. I said, Jason, I'm like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Was this after 20 years you got fired? I didn't know if you were joking. I didn't know what was. I mean, I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah. So no. We have a a mother-son relationship. And yeah, she calls me every day, sweet Jesus. But
Oh,
yeah,
oh, she sounds like my mom.
right,
I'm sure she's calling you so you can go do something for her.
right. So my relationship, and I actually was fired 4 times. One of
I'm so sorry. So
okay,
you were fired 4 times by your mom, is what you're saying.
yes, ma'am.
And she just rehired you.
Some time went by. It wasn't like the next week. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So at one point, I actually worked for the federal government. During one of those
Mhm.
firings, I worked for the Small Business Administration. That was fun.
Right.
Short-lived because I came from nepotism. I knew what it looked like, and my boss was Hispanic, and the guy who started the same day as me was Hispanic as well. And so I left on my 89th day, and he's still there.
Hmm.
And I interact with people who know him, and yeah.
So are you saying that did your mom ask you to come back? I mean, what no, it's like
Yeah.
were you two do you just kind of had disagreements about things and you both are really passionate and then she just like, well, I don't want you to work for me anymore. And then you kind of the dust settles and then you two kiss and make up and then you come back. Is that how this works?
First of all, my mother cusses like a sailor, so it was no make. Yeah, yeah, we didn't have a difference of opinion. She was like, "Get the hell on out of here."
Oh wow. Okay. Lovely.
Yeah, and so it wasn't something that was shocking to my system. I got kicked out of 5 schools. Like I've been the person that I am since I was 11. So
Hmm.
it is what it is. And she's not really warm and fuzzy. Yeah, you gotta. I mean, my mother is not gonna ever be a grandmother.
Hmm.
So yeah, um, yeah, just she's not wired like that. Love her. She loves me. That part I get. But it's definitely a tough love. And most people think because I'm the baby, I'm spoiled. And I don't know what spoiled looks like. Yeah, 'cause never in my feelings. Yeah.
So when your other siblings, what role have they played in your
Mhm.
mom's business? I mean, have they been as active or as loyal as you have, or
Yeah.
are they doing like totally different stuff now? What are they doing?
So yeah, so I have an older brother, and he did the accounting and finance, and I did marketing and sales. So at one point, my mother was uh, given the opportunity to only come to work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then me and my
Mhm.
brother kind of managed the business. And that went on for about a 2-year period. But he's now a journeyman carpenter for 687. And so when we got put out of business, we all had to do other stuff. So he's actually a trained accountant. Um,
Wow.
yeah, he was in DAPSEP, like he was on the trajectory for a particular thing, but now he walks around with a hammer in his hand. And so we all do different stuff. Um, I don't know what we envisioned as a response to the election of
Mhm.
2001. I remember election day was 9/11. And so that day will live in infamy in our entire family.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So are you saying that you and your brother got fired on the same day, or?
No, he stayed a little bit longer, but not too much. Yeah, too much further because
Mhm.
there just wasn't any business. We would go to our clients, like people who had worked with us for 10, 15, 20 years,
Right.
and they would tell us that we were no longer the right business to do business with.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So kind of sounds like you were like almost out of business. I mean, it doesn't sound like it was a like a personal thing. It just sounds like maybe the business became like insolvent. I mean,
Uh,
is
the
that what happened?
reason No, the reason our clients informed us of this is because my mother's envelope was $6,800 short. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, learn lesson.
Yeah, so it looks like you guys have moved on. You're doing other things now.
We're all still around construction. Yeah, I mean, we're still
Yeah,
interacting with the same people. It's just we're not asking them for work anymore. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I literally, my reference into the job I have now was from a guy who met me when I was 13. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And he
How's
knows. Go ahead.
Yeah, how's it like working a job? Well, I guess with your mom, you were still working a job.
Yeah.
But it was a family business, so that's a lot different. How's it like working for somebody else with
The
what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I went from being the boss and starting 10 things and every thought was my own to now I have 8 bosses. And
Oh, lovely.
and
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
and I said it on a conference call, and the guy was like, "You don't have 8 bosses." And I was just like, and then I started naming everybody, like, "Jesus Christ, you got 8 bosses."
Yeah, that's a lot. You talk about micromanagement. That's like micromanagement on steroids.
Yeah, well,
That's ridiculous.
thank God, I'm old, and so they don't micromanage me. But it's still, I'll get an email from somebody up the chain. I'm just like, "Oh, okay, yeah." It's interesting some days, and it's really about production, right? Everybody wants to see what gets produced. So as long as you're producing, you get to stay on the job. So,
Sounds good. Well, is it real estate / construction / what you do related? Are you
uh,
doing what you enjoy doing?
yes and no. So I worked for my mother as a salesman, so it's sales again. The difference is,
Right.
as opposed to some small minority business that had my name on it, but I didn't own anything, to now a different name of again a Caucasian majority firm who they put the concrete slab down that the Red Wings play on.
Oh,
Yeah, so they're 75 years old. They made $400 million last year, and
wow.
it actually started at 10801 Buffalo on the east side.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
what the weird part is, my boss did not know that. He was like, "Where? What?" I started on Buffalo.
Back then, 75 years ago, the East Side didn't look like Buffalo, don't look like it look now. I know it's like, what did we buy this for?
Right, yeah. And so they started in 46 and probably got out of town in 52. A lot of people actually left in 52, way before the civil unrest of 1967. But
Right.
yeah. I'm making a joke of civil unrest because at the end of the day, every time there's a race riot, why all the black people end up dead?
Oh Lord. Okay, that's another issue. But
Well,
that's what they said about the Capitol.
right.
I guess insurrection, whatever you want to call it. They're like, if that would have been us, it would have been a massacre instead of 5 people dying, right? So
And here's the other thing, and I shared it with you, which is there was an insurrection in this country before, back in 1898. So 30
Mhm.
years after slavery ends, right? And the good folks in Wilmington, North Carolina, the white people who did not get elected, were not happy with that.
Mhm.
They actually walked into the building or City Hall and just killed people at their desk.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
country.
terrible.
No, the terrible part is the 3 dudes who led it. One guy became the governor of North Carolina later. The other guy became the
Hmm.
Secretary of Navy, and the third dude ended up being an ambassador.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's this country.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a hot mess.
welcome to America.
I know. But hey, that's a democracy though. People, I mean, that's who people put in office. So it
Yeah,
is or did not put in office. So you kind of
yeah.
deal with the consequences, of, somebody's person not getting reelected.
And burn
Um,
the black newspaper down to the ground.
hmm.
You don't run tell that.
No, not really. You don't hear a lot about that.
No, Wilmington insurrection. It's in Wikipedia. It will at the end of it, you're gonna be shaking your head and you might get a little fire in you too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
like in journals, they say like Wikipedia is not a reliable source, but I use it all the time. So I don't, mostly I have to look up stuff on celebrities. It's not like
yeah.
but I mean, it's the first point of, that's where a lot of people go.
Yes.
So
And,
I probably dig a little deeper
yeah.
after looking at that.
And the actual seed that got planted from it, Skip, who is the guy who does the ancestry thing, Finding Your Roots on PBS.
Oh, okay.
He actually talked about it in Many Rivers to Cross, about our migration from the south to the north. And I was just like, huh. He said some stuff, and I was like, oh, Jesus, Lord. Oh, yeah. Like they got so good. They got so bad. They had put a posse at the end of town and was literally picking us off as we was running out of town.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know I saw 12 Years a Slave and I was like, this is so disturbing. I told my mom, we saw it in the theater, and I told my mom and brother, I'm like, I never want to see this movie again. It was just like, but my mom was like, this is like the truest depiction of slavery so far. But it was terrible. It was terrible. It's like this man was free. He was a free man, and they just decided, well, I guess he's too uppity because he plays the violin or whatever. So we're just gonna make him a slave, and that's just like you just didn't have any rights at all.
Zero. Or you could have been in the history books in Texas where they had happy Negroes.
Oh,
that's how they changed slavery in the textbooks in the K-8 system in Texas. Happy Negroes.
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
let's talk about business.
Yeah, like you said, it's all related. So hopefully things with this administration, hopefully things will, and COVID and the aid to small businesses, hopefully things will be on the upswing. And so we can, as you said, move forward.
I will say that the Community Reinvestment Act back in the 70s, that's been helpful. Actually, under the Obama administration, they put together a small business fund that is $30 billion, which
wow.
Not a whole lot of folks are talking about for whatever reason.
Right.
And so, if I tell people, take the federal government's acts and turn that into some money and these entitlement programs. So if you've got a fund, a zone, a protected class of people, you can start to make some money. So that's one of the things I preach in my, I teach folks commercial real estate development on Saturdays. And that's literally it. Just take what they did in DC and see if you can turn it into something real.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, when I've had Kim Lee as a guest on the show as well. And one of the things that we talked about on the show is how there's so much miseducation in our community, from the PPE funds that were distributed to, what's going on with small business with the new administration, that there's just a lot of things that we are out of the know on. And so, thank you for educating our community about what they need to know to move forward in certain businesses and industries, because I just feel like a lot of times we're kind of, left off of that information highway. So getting access to the information is like one of the most important things. And then you can decide from there if you want to move forward or not, but you don't even really have a fair leg in the game if you don't even know what's available to you.
I will say that I'm blessed. I get something. I'm part of something called the bipartisan committee, and so I'm plugged into a guy named Richmond, who is one of the first people that Biden put in place, and so I get my information kind of directly from the White House, so to speak. And then the other thing is, this country is built upon money, so much so that the folks who were trying to destroy us, ISIS. Right, we're the infidels, right, Kufers, and they would say death to America, but they had Blueface $100 in their pockets. We're the only country that puts "In God We Trust" on our notes.
Right.
So what logic is that? But it goes to how powerful money is, right? And so I tell people, find out how the money is churning. And so one of the things I'm able to tap into is the Bond Buyer magazine. And I know when the money is coming. Oh, they about to do that road. I remember being in Detroit and telling my friends back in DC, I said, man, they about to put the train together from National Airport out to Dulles. And they were like, what are you talking about? I said, you'll see in 4 years, but they got the money. And I said, here's the thing. It was like the Dulles Toll Road Authority put it together. It wasn't even the airport. They were like, how the hell did you know that? I said, I got the right information. Yeah.
But Jason, with you having that information, I mean, how can you monetize it? Do you have a way you can monetize information, or are you just not interested in monetizing the information?
So I used information to sustain myself for 12 years. So I actually didn't have a job for better than a decade. But COVID, really did a number on me. And so what I'm gonna do, leveraging information again, is being in Detroit and doing a little bit up in Lansing served a purpose. But I think it's now time for me to head east and do greater.
So with you saying that you were a lobbyist, are you still a lobbyist now? Are you talking about going back to DC when you say head east? Okay.
Yes.
And having more of like a national platform.
Correct. Yeah. So I think two years ago, I started 3 national nonprofits right next door to the White House.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is not a game for me.
Right. I totally understand. Can you give us some information on the nonprofits for anyone who's interested, or is this like top secret information?
It's below the radar right now. I'll be able to talk more about it in November. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I thought like nonprofit, services the people, but I understand if you have like certain things you can't share. I'm really getting interested now. I'm just like, what is Jason doing now? I want to know what's going on. Because you said 10 organizations. I'm like, what you got under your sleeve now?
Looking at what some other folks have done on the other side of the table, just mimicking what they have done, but doing it for us. And so
hopefully in a legitimate way.
Of
course.
There's no chance. So because I get asked that, being in construction and talking to criminals about that, I said, at the end of the day, I'm a Boy Scout.
That's good. That's the only way I've ever known you as.
Right. So one, as a child, I was a Boy Scout, but as a grown man, I'm a Boy Scout now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever lose sight of that. No, I ain't ever gonna break the law. That's just retarded. It's not necessary, right? Because another 4 years will go by and the next person will get elected. You ain't got to insurrect nothing. Provided you got some decent policies that help the people, you clown. And so no, I'm paying attention to what they're doing. I'm like, oh, I need to go do that. And the average person be like, man, you can't do that, but watch
they've already done it.
It ain't that damn hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we don't have proper representation in Washington, D.C. Not from an elected perspective, from a nonprofit organization perspective. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like Ken is like in DC now. I mean, some of these larger nonprofits who represent, this supposedly represent African Americans as a whole. Yes. You do have some of them that live in DC, but you're saying it's not enough of us.
Well, so it's called being a Beltway bandit, and having lived there, I get it. You get sucked into the vacuum of Washington, D.C., and then you forget, like, oh, there are people over on the other side of the country I got to think about. And so I'm not that guy, right? At the end of the day, like every weekend, I'm on 7 Mile. I'll never forget where I'm from.
I was like, so which part of 7 Mile? Like 7 Mile on what again?
Yeah, Littlefield, 18428 Littlefield. Please believe, yeah.
Okay, so is that east side 7 Mile? Are you like 7 Mile in Gunston, or are you 7 Mile west side? Like which 7 Mile are you a part of? Because I was like 7 Mile in Gunston, that's like a totally different animal.
Yes. Yeah. West 7 Mile, Blackstone is where I'm from.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not 7 Mile in Gunston, but yeah, it's still Detroit. It's nowhere close. So then you're basically from the suburbs. You almost at 8 Mile anyway. You're only a mile away from 8 Mile.
No. So first of all, I'm south of 7 Mile, 3 blocks, Pickford and Margarita. That's number 2. I've been on 7 Mile in Gunston in the red zone. And so no, my neighborhood is not that. But I did have two drug lords on my street, and one of them had a shootout with the police in front of me. So
Oh, wow.
I ducked up under a couple cars in my lifetime. I've been in some club shootouts, but it just
Mhm.
you ain't got to be super hood and have some good rules. I'm trying to solve some problems, not get into one.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Jason. Well, it has been a pleasure. I knew I was like, I'm gonna have fun with Jason tonight. I don't have to do a lot of prepping. So it was great having you on the show. I would actually like to step into one of your sessions on Saturday if I can. If it's, I'm not in construction, but I would just be interested in information
Yeah.
because, that's something that we offer in terms of like real estate is connected to real estate. And that's one of the things we offer to GBHG. So it's all about collaboration. So hopefully you'll come out. Are you going to be with us April 23rd to see Kim Lee?
I see her all the time. Where's she gonna be?
What is she's part of in Cubizo, right where I'm at tonight. She is going to be part of our lecture series. So she's our next speaker. So you got to see Shannon, and then she'll be here April 23rd.
Okay. Provided my mother has to sell her house after 32 years.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. She doesn't have to. She's just doing it.
Right.
I may be out of town, but if no, your meetings are on Thursday, right?
It's actually probably I think it's a Friday. All of our events are on Friday this year. So yeah, it's going to be a Friday from 4 to 6. But hey, hopefully you can make it. If not, definitely send some of your people over.
Okay. Yes. It might be the 30th. So if I'm in town, I will definitely stop in. I guess that's Latin for incubator up there. Because y'all fancy. Yeah. So okay. That'll be cool. Yeah, and I actually hear Kimberly's voice at least once a week. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
We were having a meeting in January. It was she was there, Shannon was there, and then one of a friend of the organization, Reginald Harrison, and I'm like, I got to get in touch with Jason because he needs to be a part of this conversation. She's like, hold on, I got him right in my caller ID. I was like, oh, you guys know each other that well. I'm like, okay, great.
I know Reginald Harrison. Yeah.
Oh, see, it's small world. And I know you're a former member of ACREBA as well, so we probably bumped into each other at ACREBA too. Okay, Reggie wants me to ask you if you know anything about Dr. Claude Anderson's high-speed railroad project to build in the South.
No, I do not. Yeah, that's a hell of a question. No, I do not.
I don't either.
Yeah.
He comes up with some interesting questions for guests.
Right. and it sounds like something because I can tell you that as a person who started an engineers association, we have the wherewithal to get that built within our own community. It's about where the dollars are coming from. So, because some folks are getting into P3s and raising the money themselves, and that's a whole nother level. But if the Department of Transportation, right, the FTA, the Federal Transit Authority is paying for it, then hell yeah, we should be all up in there.
Okay. Well, yeah, you two might have to connect then so you can get the information on, how he knows about this and, what information he has about it and find out where the funding's coming from.
Probably Buttigieg. Yeah.
Did you know about the M1 before the construction actually started? And were you a part of that? Like, are you getting contracts from the city or the state to work on any of these projects?
So me personally,
you're working on the organization side. I'm sorry, the policy side. I got you.
No, well, not even policy side, just making sure that people from the impacted area are working on it. So several of the members worked on the M1 rail. I have focused in on M2, which is a little business that Daniel Gilbert set up to buy every intersection where M1 rail stops.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Ain't it? This is not a game. Some people playing checkers, other people are playing chess.
Yeah, really. And you just kind of look at some of these wealthy people and it's like, don't you have enough money? I'm like, my goodness. I'm like, doesn't he own enough of Detroit already? It's like, it's ridiculous.
No. His daddy owned the bar. He trying to own the whole city. He's playing
it's crazy.
An adult game of Monopoly.
Yeah, there was one. My mom was at the city. She had to pay some taxes on property, and there was a guy. He literally was trying to purchase an entire block of Detroit, not like one house, but the whole block.
Yeah.
And it was like almost 1,000 houses. And she's like, not a block. This is more like a subdivision. But she's like, why do you need to own so many houses? And it was something he said about trying to control something, but yeah, some of these people I think have some control issues because it's just crazy.
So I can say, I came out of a man who was 5'1", who had a Napoleon man's complex, and God bless me for being 6'1" and the milkman's child. So yes, that's a real thing. But here's the other piece to that. And I put this in my notes to you. So one, we got to this country in 1619, and we're 11.75% of its population, and we control 2% of its wealth in 1868. Skip 100 years, the percent, I think we went up to 13% in population, but we still only control 2% of its wealth, right? So another group of people got here in 1763. And they're only 4% of the population, but they control 50% of this country's wealth. And Mr. Gilbert is part of that clan. So
really, what group is this? What other group is this?
The Jewish community.
Oh, wow!
Yes.
Interesting.
Very interesting, because you got to go like, why aren't we making any progress?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a very large Jewish community in Detroit, in Metro Detroit. It's just like,
but as a
some of them you don't even know by their last name. I mean, you don't really know who's Jewish and who's not. They could be married to, they could be Jewish by marriage, so you just never know.
Yes. Well, so Judaism is supposed to be a religion.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems like it's a race.
That's a whole nother political issue. Jason, we're not even going there tonight. So that's like, now we're gonna have to go. We'd have to pull the Bible out and everything else before we could start.
Well, I mean, Sammy Davis
dive into that.
Yeah, but Sammy Davis Jr. got in, so hey.
Oh Lord! Oh my goodness!
You Baptist one day, you Catholic the next. It's a religion.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's an actual country, so the whole thing with it just being religion, that argument just does not really wash too well.
So yeah, just things you learn as you get older, and you want everybody to get along. Sometimes you just like, boy, it's harder to get along if you're the wrong paint job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that says a lot, because a lot of times you see these people and you just look at them and be like, oh, they've got so much wealth or whatever. But when you have a community like that backing you up, I mean, there's a reason why you can come into a city that's, falling apart and like purchase, half the buildings downtown. So it's crazy.
Or you can buy a large portion of East Village that most folks ain't even paying attention to. But now that Chrysler plant's expanded, Mr. Hance was very, very wise.
I love East English Village. We used to live in Indian Village, but
let me be clear: not East English Village, not Indian Village, not West Village, but East Village.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm about to drive by there tonight because what is East Village?
What am I saying is, behind Indian Village, there is the land that goes up into the Chrysler plant. It will not look the same in the next 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when you're buying it for pennies on the dollar and planting trees, and then all of a sudden there's a very nice structure there, that's called upside. And that's vision and long-term thought. And unfortunately, we just don't have the money for visioning and long-term thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of that land is owned by Berg Deering. That's the other thing that blows your mind.
Well, you were saying like when what you had just said about, I think, did you say Gilbert was buying the property off of the N1? Like that's like phenomenal because he's basically, it's like, when you hear about the railroads being built in the country and people buying all the land around it, I mean, like he's essentially using that same concept.
Yes.
It's just, and you just make a little town by, right next to the railroad. So he's probably going to be developing all of that property along M1. So yeah, that's just, it's not like this is not new. This is nothing new. So it's just,
Yes.
you're looking at some of these people like, why didn't I think of that? We could have done that. That's what we always like. But like you said, it goes back to the financing.
Yes. It's always money. It's
Mhm.
always, and at the beginning and end of every conversation, it's money.
Yeah, because I don't know if you got to see one of my speakers that was on here recently, but he's an investor, and he was talking about how we need to work together to pull our finances together instead of waiting for the banks to give us money. So that's another piece of the puzzle where a lot of times there hasn't really been a level playing field because we don't have the same access to finances, so in the capital. So that's really
and that's by design.
Right. So because I was like, well, what is going on? Because he was saying he and his partner are they both have viable income. Like they're actually working full time too. And like, look, we can show you that we can pay the money back. And so he's like, at that point, it's not even an issue. I said, well, what is the issue then? And he said institutional racism. I'm like, oh, duh.
God was in America, right?
Right. So
yeah, sometimes it ain't even about the money. Yeah, you just be like, because well, yeah, little side story. My mother tried to buy a building from a guy, had the money. He didn't take the money. He just wouldn't accept her offer, and somebody else bought it, and then she ended up buying another building and probably made 4-5 times more money. And so she now looks at that as a blessing. When it originally happened, she was not happy about it at all.
Yeah, because the thing is that that's what it goes back to the power with this guy buying 1,000, houses in one area. I mean, if you own all the land, like essentially you do have all the power. I mean, you can make the laws, you can pretty much do it. I mean, everything comes down to the land. So land is really almost as more valuable than money is. Because there's a limited amount of land. There's only so much land. I mean, you can say there's a limited amount of money too, but land is pretty valuable.
Yes, in the right places, right? So Detroiters think, oh, that's too much to be paying for that. Like the person just came from Chicago, LA, New York, Washington, D.C. They're like, this is pennies on the dollar. I'm about to scoop up all of it. Yeah. But if you're born and raised here, you on your chin. You ain't even on your knuckles. You on your chin. And so it's just harder for you to put dollars together. Even when folks talk about coming together, they'd be like, yeah, your $5 here is 50 cents.
50 cents.
Yeah. So
when they do say, like people who come from other places, they do say that Detroit does have some of the best architecture, at least in the state, if not the region. So you can't that's why I was like saying, like, I love Indian Village, I love East English Village. You can't find that architecture anywhere else in the state. It's just gorgeous brickwork. It's gorgeous masonry work.
Yeah. And that's another great story about Detroit. One of our leading architects was Albert Kahn, a Jewish American who actually designed the Detroit Athletic Center.
Okay.
And unfortunately, at the time, he couldn't become a member because
he was Jewish.
Because he was Jewish. And the floor, if you ever get a chance to go on the first floor in the dining area, it has swastikas in it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
We don't make no sense.
Really, we don't. That doesn't make any sense.
No, the town was founded by a French dude. You were like, why is these swastikas in the floor? Like, what?
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's Detroit. Detroit real estate, architecture, design, all of. you just be scratching your head. And so thank God Albert Kahn's business is still here, even though he's passed on. Frank Lloyd Wright was here,
Mhm.
right? So we just had that at one point. This is the thing that blows people's mind. Michigan, as a state, was
Mhm.
number 2 in gross domestic state product in 1910. And by
Mhm.
2010, 100 years later, we had dropped to 12. And
Mhm.
give us another 50 years, and we're going to be down to probably 26. Like, we're
Mhm.
not making progress
Mhm. As a state.
as a state, let alone the city. I mean, the city went into bankruptcy. Yeah.
Yeah, they say as Detroit goes, there goes the state. So don't knock Detroit.
Or you could be in an investigation in Flint. I mean, keep messing. That's all I say. Keep messing. Yeah. Them chickens come home to roost now.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do indeed. I don't know if you're referring to the Flint water crisis or.
And Mr.
Okay.
Sniper, Snyder. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Hey, he brought it on himself. Yeah. Wait, some politicians just don't learn, and I get it. He's an accountant who played a politician. That's cool. There's some lost lives, and there's going to be consequences and repercussions. So
Yeah, there's still people drinking bottled water today. I mean, it's not a joke. It's very unfortunate. But that just shows you like corporate greed. So I said we could be on the phone all night. Very unfortunate though. It's a very unfortunate situation. Yeah, kind of like Texas a little bit.
and Texas is out of stupidity.
No, that was corporate greed too, because they made more money. There's a few wealthy men that said, "We don't want to be on somebody else's grid. Let's keep our own grid." And they walked away with billions of dollars for doing that. And then, but look, when catastrophe hit, he said people died. There's people, pipes were frozen. People didn't have heat for days on end, and you basically had a local disaster that could have been avoided, but because some people got to walk away with the a few $1 million, they thought it's like wealth at what expense? Do people have to lose their lives for certain people to be greedy? And that's why I say it's just corporate greed.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the government gets into the greed business because Flint was the state of Michigan, and in Texas, that's the Energy Commission for the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, something else I heard about this board that was involved in making this decision about not being part of a grid. They were all out of state, so they had no individual interest in the state anyway. So they're like, hey, if the pipes freeze, whatever, we don't live there. Who cares?
One of the people actually used to be on the Michigan Public Service Commission. She stepped down immediately.
That was probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to have known that something like this could potentially happen that could take all of them down. But
yeah,
I mean, hey, if you got a couple of $1 million to take with you, it says this will last you a little while.
You still gotta sleep at night.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Hey, but it's like, do these people actually have a conscience that do, when stuff goes down? I mean,
that's a good question.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I don't possess that. I'm probably a bleeding heart liberal at my core. So no, I ain't got that gene, thank God. Yeah.
Well, I know you have a good heart. I don't really know what happened between you and your mom, but I'm glad I'm glad you two get along. And it's hard working with family though. It's really difficult. I've tried to do it with my mom a few times and was not very successful. So it can be very hard.
Well, and so you didn't have the setback that I did. I was 1, born on my father's birthday. 2, I have his face. And 3, she put 5 hot ones in that young man. So I've always been on my P's and Q's. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she don't play.
Yeah. Is your dad still alive today?
No, unfortunately, at 68, March 15th, 2000, somebody put a bullet in his heart and executed him.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yep, that happened.
Yeah. Well, it
Yep.
sounds like your mom had already kind of messed them up a couple times. So,
He lived. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, yeah, I'm glad he was able to survive that because you being, their child, that probably wouldn't have set too well with you.
He wasn't that good at dad. So yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't. I mean, at the end of the day, that was she did that when I was 7. 4 years later, I was paying the mortgage. So you know, it is what it is. God rest his soul. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Well, Jason, it was great. I don't know if I'm ever gonna have another interview like this again. It was a blast.
In honesty, yeah, not everybody's equipped for it. So, yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I didn't know we were gonna go that much into depth. So I'm sure this is really gonna blow up on the replay. So we'll have to see what happens. This could be my one ticket on YouTube to help me get my, my 1,000 subscribers. We'll see. Yeah. We'll have to see.
Wow.
The one day I barely have any makeup on. I was rushing in a few minutes late because I got locked out of the building. So we shall see. I'm like, this is not how I typically look on a typical show, but yeah, pretty much all I got on today is foundation. So my apologies, everybody who's used to seeing me with a full face of makeup. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So hopefully people be watching this for the content and not like looking, as much for the glamour. So
it's about what's coming out of your mouth. That's really important.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know I'm not looking at somebody's any kind of interview for what makeup somebody got on. Oh, did you say something that was something I could use? Right. That's really important to me. Did you say something that's value? Period.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, most women are much more vain than men. So. Yeah. But I appreciate you providing us a really valuable content. I got a lot out of our conversation today. So hopefully we'll see you April 23rd. Tell your mom I said hello. Hopefully one day I will be able to meet her in person. She sounds like a very interesting character.
She's a hoot. So if you haven't gone to do that thing in Atlanta, we'll shoot up there. Yeah, that should be
I love Atlanta. So, I was raised in Atlanta.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I did come from 7 Mile in Gunston or 7 Mile in Littlefield. Some people can pick up on my accent. So, yeah, but most people, when they meet me, they pretty much know I'm not from Detroit. They're like, you're not from around here, are you? And I'm like, how did you know?
Okay, so
now what gave me away? It might have been the Kahoot thing. I don't know.
So that because I'm a Zone 4 boy down there, Ralph McGill, stand up. So where are you from down in Atlanta?
Oh, well, we lived in like Decatur, Stone Mountain.
Okay. So you was in
basically DeKalb County, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So some suburbs, yeah.
I've been to the deck a couple of times. The question is, were you there when Sidney Dorsey, the sheriff, had the other sheriff killed?
Oh no, I didn't hear about that. I left. We probably left. Well, I left in high school.
Okay.
Middle school to high school. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, you left Atlanta and went to Detroit.
That's when my mom got a job. Well, first we went to Wisconsin. That's how I ended up going to Wisconsin, and then from there she got hired at Wayne State as a dean, college liberal arts and science. So yeah, that's how I got to Detroit.
All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So she got into admin.
Mm-hmm. That was why she probably lifted her family up a couple notches.
She did a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and gave you a great platform to where you are today. So kudos to Mama.
Thank you so much. I'm sure she sees the show. She's gonna say, he seems like such a lovely man. I'm gonna have to meet him one day. Oh, you have met? Yeah. You two have met. I forgot.
Yes.
At I think one of your business events.
Yes.
Let's just say reconnect one day then.
If she's there on the 23rd, yeah, we'll give her a shout out. Okay.
All right. She doesn't come out as much, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Jason. Have a good evening.
You do the same.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Detroit Business Hub Group Director Nancy O'Neill works with her team of experts. Listen to conversations with business professionals to discover the latest business innovations, insights, and trends. Find out what's hot and what's not in today's business market.